Here is the man.
Othello is a military commander in 15th century Venice. He's wealthy, influential, and well respected. You know, considering.
Othello.
I mean, he's way more respected than Shakespeare's Jewish man.
Had that a Jew eyes? Had that a Jew hands?
Othello's race marks him as other. He's only Venetian with an asterisk.
Too much of joy.
He knows that his ethnicity precludes him from ever completely belonging in everyone's eyes. 3 characters even discuss him using racist language.
Even now, very now, an old black ram is topping your white ewe.
What profane wretch art thou?
I am one, sire, that comes to tell you your daughter and the Moor are now making the feast with 2 back.
Thou art a villain!
You are a senator!
But he's really not too bothered about all that, because Desdemona could have married anyone she wanted. And she married Othello. He knows he wasn't her father's first choice. But they do manage to convince him in the end.
She loved me for the dangers I had passed, and I loved her that she did pity them. This only is the witchcraft I have used.
To most, Othello is a novel, formidable figure. Desdemona sees in him both bravery and vulnerability. She admires his heroism and feels sorrow for the emotional scars that he carries from it. He knows that she sees this, and he trusts her with that vulnerability. Everything that could divide them,
My boyish days.
the culture, gossip,
Where hast
her
thou
father,
stowed my daughter?
other guys
Damn
who still want to
thou
marry
father,
her.
thou hast enchanted her.
At the moment,
Bring him away.
these do not represent threats. Everything that has failed to separate them has confirmed the resilience of their relationship.
Perdition catch my soul, but I do love thee!
Othello has a close confidant named Iago, honest Iago, whom he respects and trusts implicitly.
I hate the Moor.
This is a mistake. Iago's not a good guy. Nobody really knows this, except, to a limited extent, his wife, Emilia.
It is a common thing to have a foolish wife.
Oh, is that all?
Iago feels entitled to an elite lifestyle, with power and influence.
Content you. I follow him to serve my turn upon him. We cannot all be masters, nor all masters cannot be truly followed.
He's jealous, highly Machiavellian, and covertly narcissistic. Ergo, he is grandiose, power-driven, and tortured by envy.
I am not what I am.
He resents everything Othello has earned that he has not. After all, Othello did have to work harder to earn those things. He also doesn't love that Othello just promoted Michael Cassio to be lieutenant and not Iago. So Iago has a lot of motives and sub-motives that involve several characters and several suspected affairs and unrequited crushes, etc. The thing that he likely envies most is that Othello has a relationship that is unburdened by jealousy, and this is something that Iago knows he will never have. UCSC professor Rob Wilson makes the case that Iago's jealousy is both sexual and social. He writes, "What motivates Iago's excess of jealousy towards his more successful male rivals is not only sexual, Othello has won the choice Italian woman, but also social. He's the Moorish outsider and has the status to make and break his male rivals both physically and at a bureaucratic whim, so through the legal system." Someone has to pay the price for poor Iago's debilitating envy. Only the audience knows what he's up to. Very delicately, he sows a seedling of doubt.
My noble lord, what dost thou say, Iago? Did Michael Cassio, when you wooed my lady, know of your love?
He did from first to last.
He's baiting Othello with intrigue,
I entreat you then,
which he
it were
then
not for your quiet,
withholds.
nor your good, nor for my manhood.
He doesn't
honesty,
want to
and
gossip,
wisdom to
surely.
let you know my thoughts.
What dost thou mean?
Good
He's
men,
making Othello pry it out of
dear
him.
my lord.
Nay, yet there's more in this. I prithee, speak to me as to thy thinkings.
Though I perchance am vicious in my guess, as I
He's
confess,
careful
it
to
is my
establish
nature's
plausible
trait to
deniability.
spy into abuses, and oft my jealousy.
Perhaps I am vicious in my
shapes
guess.
faults that are not.
Maybe I'm reading this wrong.
By heaven, I'll know thy
He's
thoughts.
laid the groundwork. His lie has credibility, and it sounds like genuine concern.
I speak not yet of proof. Look to your wife. Observe her well with Cassio.
He even warns
I do
Othello
our
not to
country
succumb to
business
jealousy.
well. In Venice,
This gives him
they
some
do their
cover,
heaven
as
see
he
the
baits
bright their
Othello
heavens
with
shall
jealousy.
Oh, beware, my lord, of jealousy. 'Tis the green-eyed monster that doth mock the meat it feeds on.
Yeah, he would know. Othello is sorrowful.
Why did I marry?
He begins to ruminate in his despair. Intrusive thoughts torment him. An implicit fear has emerged from the shadows, and that is what haunts him.
Oh, that we can call these delicate creatures ours, and not their appetites.
So what we are seeing here is a phenomenon known as projection. This concept was originally introduced by Freud to describe a defense mechanism where people externalize vices and other unacceptable behavioral traits onto other people. In other words, people see their own bad behavior in you. Ironically enough, it's something people often do who are having affairs. They become preoccupied with suspicion about their partners. Now, narcissists engage in projection very frequently, and for them it's less about cognitive dissonance and more about preserving their self-image. It's a tool they use to shift blame and to reject personal responsibility. So, Othello is not a naturally jealous person. Iago is the one overcome with jealousy. But because he's ingratiated himself into a position of trust, he knows what Othello's emotional vulnerabilities are and how to play them. And this begins with his honesty. Othello's a pretty honest guy, and he thinks men honest that but seem to be so. So unfortunately, this does give Iago a head start because of something called the truth default theory, or simply truth bias. Honest people, by default, tend to assume others are being honest with them, unless there's some obvious reason we shouldn't. The idea that somebody is approaching us with adversarial intent right from the get-go feels kind of absurd. Well, unless you're the kind of person who does that. As Othello ruminates, he reconsiders the vulnerability he shared. It's a double-edged sword. Could she have been using him this entire time? Might they have been laughing at him?
My life upon her faith.
Now he begins to feel emasculated, paranoid, insecure, jealous. Everything that didn't scare him before, like the idea that everyone would rather see her with a white man. Now, those impediments have become threats.
How now, my dear Othello?
He can barely look his wife in the eye. When she tries to show caring behavior, he interprets it as manipulative. He thinks she's trying to play him. For her, the goalposts are moving. He demands proof, so Iago begins manufacturing evidence, starting with I heard Cassio admit it in his
men
sleep.
so loose of soul that in their sleeps will mutter their affairs.
I know, right?
This kind is
The
Cassio.
problem is, people stop thinking rationally when they feel scared or threatened. Just look at the Republican Party. As he explains, his evidence doesn't need to be that strong.
Trifles, light as air, are to the jealous confirmations strong as proofs of holy writ. This may do something.
So we've now escalated into gaslighting territory. Iago is manipulating Othello's reality because Othello no longer trusts his own. After all, he could not perceive the affair that Desdemona is not having. See? Iago hunts down Desdemona's handkerchief, a gift from her husband.
I gave her such a one. It was my first gift.
He plants it in Cassio's room, where it might give his girlfriend the wrong idea.
Most fair Bianca.
Which it does.
Whence came this?
And Othello too.
This is some token from a newer friend. Why uses it?
I know not. I found it in my chamber.
Encave yourself.
Othello is placed where he can overhear a conversation.
Patience. One kills me.
Ply Desdemona well, and you are sure on't.
Poor wretch. I think in faith she loves me.
Cassio brags about his sex life.
Giving out. She hangs and lolls and weeps upon her.
He's talking about Bianca, but Othello hears what he was meant to hear. Iago's emotional games have taken their toll, and Othello begins succumbing to the fragility of insecure manhood. In his book, Manipulation, Its Nature, Mechanisms, and Moral Status, author Robert Noggle nominates Othello as having the most compelling examples of playing on emotions.
I have it. It is engendered.
He's becoming defensive, like a man with something to prove. His sorrow will soon give way to contempt.
Work on, my medicine. Work.
I am glad to see you mad.
Why, sweet Othello.
Devil!
As Desdemona continues to reassert her innocence, Othello's treatment of her continues to worsen. The irony is just tragic. Besides suppressing critical thinking, fear is a catalyst for both confirmation bias as well as negativity bias. People lend more attention and credibility to information that seems to confirm the worst while undercounting evidence to the contrary. It's one of the ways that black and white thinking sets in. So our girl Desda is in this inescapable black hole. Because this is not an argument between two rational people anymore. She's arguing with somebody who by now has just made up their mind. And from his perspective, you know, if she cheated on him, well then maybe for him it's just easier to believe that she's this villain and not the woman he loved. So now we're getting into another phenomenon that is taking place called splitting. It's a defense mechanism that we often see in people who are very sensitive, very passionate, and a bit emotionally dysregulated. So a hurtful incident will cause a person to go from completely worshiping somebody to completely devaluing them. Again, we're seeing this black and white thinking appear. Often this will start with some kind of perceived betrayal or a fear of impending abandonment, something that causes a lot of emotional pain. In response, the wounded party will start thinking about the other person in this very polarized way, failing to acknowledge the nuances and virtues of a person's entire character, and instead seeing them as all bad. And in their mind, they will find ways to justify the narrative. And for people who deeply fear abandonment, it's sort of a preemptive, you can't abandon me if I reject you first. Or, you know, because you're so horrible, I have no reason to miss you.
Unkindness may do much, and his unkindness may defeat my life, but never taint my love.
She refuses to waver from her truth because it's the one thing she remains certain of as reality descends into chaos, making less and less sense. Now, she too has become a victim of gaslighting by proxy because Iago's illusions, which have distorted Othello's reality, are now being forced onto her as well. She has a slight advantage in that she knows for a fact that it's not true. But that doesn't mean that other people in similar situations don't start to question their reality. Like, maybe I had a dissociative fugue state and that's when I fucked Cassio all those times?
What art thou?
Your wife, my lord, your true and loyal wife.
Come, swear it.
In his eyes, she's simply not the same person anymore.
Swear thou art honest.
She's become a cruel, deceitful stranger.
Heaven doth truly know it.
Heaven truly knows thou art false as hell. Thus credulous fools are caught,
And many worthy and chaste dames, even thus, all guiltless, meet reproach. In other words, people are so easy to fool that honest women get blamed and shamed all the time.
Alas, what ignorant sin have I committed?
Was this fair paper, this goodly book made to write whore upon?
By heaven, you do me wrong.
Are you not a strumpet?
No, as I am a Christian.
What Iago has done to this couple is an example of triangulation. Now, triangulation can refer to a few types of scenarios. Originally, the term referred to when two people in a conflict bring a third person into it to gain some kind of stability or leverage or control. But more often, it refers to a situation where you have one person using a second person to manipulate a third person. It's very, very passive-aggressive. Now, when you have a narcissist involved, you tend to see a more destabilizing form of triangulation, where the narcissist is controlling the flow of information between people and putting themselves in kind of a mediator or savior sort of role. And this keeps them above reproach, and it saves them from confrontation, which is important to them because they're cowards. And you tend to see them devaluing and alienating one person while drawing the other person closer to them. And that's exactly what you have here. Earlier I mentioned a piece written by Professor Rob Wilson in 1987, which looks at Iago's character and his tactics. Wilson contends that Iago creates no less than 5 drama triangles of male rivalry throughout the play. And actually, a lot of the play's key events are engineered by Iago. He does a lot of scummy things that I'm not even going to get into. He's a very prolific schemer, so I'm just focusing on the main thing today. Desdemona needs to confide in someone. Who do you think shows up to be the nice guy?
My lord did say I was. He called her whore.
Why did he so?
He feigns cluelessness about Othello's behavior, leaving her distressed and bewildered.
Do not weep.
She does find an ally in Emilia, who actually denounces Othello's abuse.
Hath she forsook so many noble matches? Her father and her country, all her friends, to be called whore. Would it not make one weep?
Perhaps she recognizes that old gaslit feeling. She's also the one who solves this puzzle.
She turned to folly and she was a whore.
Thou dost belie her, and thou art a devil.
Ask thy husband else.
My husband.
But the truth comes too late to prevent Desdemona's murder.
Oh, lady, speak again.
She won't let this go unanswered.
She fought with Cassio. Did you say with Cassio?
With Cassio.
She confronts her husband's lies,
I will not charm my tongue. I'm about to speak.
refusing to be silenced.
I told him what I thought, and told no more than what he found himself was apt and true.
He has nothing but a feeble excuse.
You told a lie.
But then Emilia finds out how she was cajoled too.
Cassio confessed it, and she did gratify his amorous works with that same handkerchief. I saw it in his hand.
She gave Iago the handkerchief.
Oh, God.
She never imagined what he had planned for it.
Oh, heaven.
She only wanted the validation that he withheld from her.
Oh, thou dull more. That handkerchief thou speakst of, I found by fortune. And did give my husband.
The spell is broken.
Lay thee down and roar. Thou hast killed the sweetest innocent that e'er did lift up eye.
And he killed her for nothing, but lies.
Alas!
I do not, gentlemen.
There are no stones in heaven but what serves for thunder. Precious!
In retribution, Iago kills Emilia to silence her. She becomes a second martyr for the truth.
Lay me by my mistress' side.
He attempts to flee, but fails. As for Othello, how could he live with himself?
I took by the throat the circumcised dog.
So he surrenders to the only justice that he knows. The military justice that he enforced upon others. Cassio will be left in charge of the region. He will oversee Iago's imprisonment.
Spartan dog!
Iago's survivors are left with a trail of destruction.
Look on the tragic loading of this bed. This is thy work.
Some of us still walk the earth. Might we reclaim and restore what he took from us? In the original text, the word honest appears 51 times. Othello himself uses it to describe Iago 13 times, twice to describe Cassio, and once to describe Desdemona, the most honest person in his life. Historically, Othello has been hailed as a tragedy about an outsider lured into false jealousy with dire consequences. And it is. But it's also about a woman whose life and reputation become collateral damage to a revenge campaign between two men. The lion's share of consequences land on her. So this is Desdemona's tragedy too. We are able to watch this story unfold with the benefit of hearing Iago's innermost secrets. What would this story look like if we didn't? If we didn't see that somebody was conducting this whole orchestra behind the scenes with this nefarious intent? Who would we believe? Who would we judge to be honest? Would anybody suspect that somebody in the mix might be lying, and that it might be somebody who's trusted? Or would cognitive bias allow everybody to assume that Iago was the truthful one?